The fight this Monday night to control the Strait of Hormuz, what the U.S. is threatening.
We will end up discontrolling the whole thing.
What Iran is vowing and where this leaves peace talks. The heat is on, the summer scorcher burning up records on the prairies. Canada's rising cases of a new tick-borne illness.
He didn't even have enough strength to lift his head off the floor.
How it's potentially more dangerous than Lyme disease. Plus, he was beloved and had a brilliant career.
Perhaps with time, you might come to like me.
Actor Sam Neill's legacy beyond the big screen.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The U.S. and Iran have returned to a standoff over the Strait of Hormuz. Leaders in both countries claiming they are the guardians of the critical oil shipping route. The American president, who intends to address the nation on Thursday, says he's not only reinstating the blockade of the strait, he claims any ships that are allowed to pass through it will be charged a fee. There is no clarity on how that will work and whether this leaves any hope of negotiations towards a lasting peace. Jackson Proskow has our top story tonight.
Locked on the path to escalation, the U.S. struck dozens of targets over the weekend, using sea-based drones for the first time in combat to hit an Iranian submarine facility. Iran responded with strikes on U.S. bases in Bahrain, Jordan, and Kuwait. Soon after, U.S. President Donald Trump announced he'd had enough and was reimposing the American naval blockade and taking control of the Strait of Hormuz.
We're attacking them tonight. We're taking out all of their capability for anything having to do with the Strait, with the Hormuz Strait. And I think in the end, we will end up discontrolling the whole thing.
Trump claimed that under American control, the U.S. will collect tolls of 20% of the value of cargo passing through the waterway.
I want to be reimbursed because we're protecting a very rich portion of the world.
That contradicts what his administration has said previously, when it claimed Iran would never be allowed to toll the strait.
No country is allowed to charge tolls or fees on an international waterway. That's existing international law.
Iran called the U.S. Navy pirates and said it would not allow the Americans to interfere in management of the strait.
The U.S. is limited in what it can do to take full control of the strait. There's a reason it's not in full control already. And that's because it's very limited in what it can do without taking serious casualties.
It sets up the possibility of a return to full-on combat and doesn't solve the problem of global shipping. The promise of American naval escorts will likely not be enough to convince ship operators to take the risk.
They have the right by maritime law to not sail if they believe it's dangerous to their crew and to the ship.
Iran is suggesting there's no quick path back to the bargaining table, claiming the latest round of U.S. attacks has undone the last few months of diplomacy. Donna?
All right, Jackson Proskow in Washington, thank you. There is a fresh outbreak of violence in Yemen. That country's military carried out strikes on the airport in Yemen's capital, which is under the control of Iran-backed Houthi rebels. Yemen's internationally recognized government says it was preventing an Iranian plane already violating its airspace from landing. The Houthis blame Saudi Arabia, which backs the Yemeni government, and launched missiles and drones at a Saudi airport today. The escalation threatens a truce agreed to by Yemen and the Houthis in 2022. In Toronto, police now say 2 people killed in a gunfight at a crowded street festival on the weekend were targeted. Thousands of people were at the Salsa on St. Clair event when shots were fired. A number of people were caught in the crossfire and injured. There have been fewer shootings and murders in Toronto this year than in the past, but as Jeff Semple reports, a disturbing trend is emerging of brazen shootings in public places.
This bustling midtown Toronto community tried to get back to normal life after a deadly weekend.
Oh my God.
Police say 13,000 people had gathered for Canada's largest Latin street festival on Saturday when at least 2 men started firing at each other in the crowd.
I could hear boom, 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 like it was like at least 8 or 10 shots fired.
This restaurant owner was just meters away and dove to the ground.
All of a sudden, people just started running.
This business owner says dozens rushed inside his store.
And we literally had a shop full of people. The sad thing was that you had a lot of moms separated from their children.
2 people were killed. Police say they knew each other and were targeted. 5 others were also shot, but are expected to survive.
We are leaving no stone unturned.
Police said they recovered 2 firearms, but aren't saying much else.
Are there any outstanding suspects? I think is question number one. Is that something we need to be concerned about?
This was one of 3 weekend shootings in Toronto. A 22-year-old was killed and 2 others injured outside this townhome on Friday. And in the early hours of Sunday, another gunfight erupted near the waterfront. Police say one of the gunmen then stole a rideshare vehicle with its customer still inside, then drove off, crashing into pedestrians and other vehicles. That same suspect recently pleaded guilty to a violent home invasion in Montreal and was out on bail awaiting sentencing.
Very unusual to see that type of carnage in one weekend in the city of Toronto.
Despite the deadly weekend in this city, the number of homicides and shootings so far this year are trending significantly below average, as they have been for the past few years. But analysts are noticing another troubling trend.
We're dealing with a whole different beast now.
This former Toronto gang member, who now works with at-risk youth, says gun violence has become more brazen and the shooters are younger.
What we're seeing now of this theater of violence, this performative violence, it should be concerning for everyone.
We need law reform.
Toronto's police chief called on the federal government to classify all shootings in public settings as first-degree murder. Jeff Semple, Global News, Toronto.
Southern Ontario is caught in another wave of extreme weather, and Environment Canada has issued heat warnings. Temperatures are expected to peak tomorrow when it could reach up to 37 degrees Celsius, including in Toronto. With many people expected to attend FIFA watch parties over the coming days, health officials are urging the public to take precautions, keep hydrated, and seek shade when possible. Ontario is not the only province feeling the heat. Parts of the prairies are stifling again today under a heat dome. Many heat records were broken on Sunday in Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Melissa Ridgen looks at how 4 straight days of soaring temperatures are taking a toll.
It's been hot.
More like sweltering or roasting. The final day of Country Thunder in Craven, Saskatchewan Sunday saw 30,000 people trying to have fun while baking in a heat dome.
Unfortunately, the heat's been really hard to handle for a lot of people.
The hot, muggy air made it feel like 45. Even in the shade, it was 32 degrees. In Regina, uncomfortable heat for a football game, with field-level temperatures close to 55 degrees for the Rough Riders versus Hamilton Ticats. Health officials say paramedics tended to 100 people at Country Thunder Sunday and another 60 at the football game. Next door in Manitoba, 7 communities set new records. McCreary was the hottest at 36.5 degrees. Winnipeg sweltered at 35, but with humidity hit a record 48 on the humidex.
It really makes the heat feel even more intense because of the presence of that moisture.
Meanwhile, the city of Brandon has been cooking and flooding at the same time. The Assiniboine River finally crested overnight. 4 straight days of extreme heat added fuel to tornado season. Rural Saskatchewan was walloped by 14 over the weekend, including one that also touched down in Alberta. Some good news, though.
Today should be the last day of the really intense heat. It will feel cooler because of the back off of the temperature, but also the humidity shouldn't be as much.
Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
A former Conservative member of Parliament in Manitoba is facing multiple weapons-related charges. Inky Mark represented the riding of Dauphin-Swan River Marquette from 1997 to 2010. RCMP say a search of his home near Dauphin on July 7th led to the seizure of more than 400 firearms, at least 3 of which police allege were trafficked. Also seized was an antique cannon, ammunition, and more than $300,000. Mark has been charged with 12 firearm-related offenses, including firearms trafficking, possession of a firearm with a tampered serial number. The federal and Alberta governments have signed an agreement with 5 major oil and gas producers to advance a major carbon capture and storage project. The Memorandum of Understanding is a fiscal framework around building the multi-billion-dollar Pathways project. The proposed carbon capture project has been a condition of getting fast-tracked federal approval of a new oil pipeline. 5 oil companies have agreed to cut their emissions by 6 million tons per year by early 2035 through this Pathways project. And Alberta hopes to double its oil production. The federal government has vowed to extend investment tax credits on eligible carbon capture equipment to 2035, and Alberta says it will finalize its own incentives. The project is expected to create 40,000 jobs across Canada and be complete by January of 2035. Canadians are being warned about another disease that's carried by ticks. It's called Anaplasmosis, and doctors say they are seeing an increasing number of cases. Catherine Ward explains what the symptoms are and what makes it different from Lyme disease.
For 6 years, Martin Haché and his wife Kathleen have been enjoying their retirement on 200 acres of land in the Ottawa Valley. Last summer, a tick bite sent Martin to the ER.
I was actually sorting some lumber near my garage, and I was just totally exhausted.
When he fell, he'd be like on his way to the bathroom and he had no strength, and he'd been on the floor and he didn't even have enough strength to lift his head off the floor.
Tests revealed Haché was positive for anaplasmosis.
Then we still had to deal with the damage that the inflammation had caused to his brain. He had delirium. To his heart, he developed myocarditis and congestive heart failure. To his kidneys, and that messed up.
Doctors say black-legged ticks are often carriers of the disease.
This is not an infection that we were encountering even 5 years ago in Canada. It's a new infection that is becoming more and more frequent.
The infection is not as common as Lyme disease, but doctors say anaplasmosis can lead to more serious complications.
The signs are different, including the absence of the classic bullseye presentation. Mild symptoms can include fever, chills, vomiting, headaches, or muscle pain. More severe signs include bleeding, seizures, organ failure, and heart complications. In 2024, more than 5,800 cases of Lyme disease were reported nationally, compared to 673 anaplasmosis cases. 93% occurred in Nova Scotia and Ontario. Martin says he plans to keep enjoying the outdoors, but will be more careful to check himself after being outside.
If you're going to be in the bush, take precautions, because I never felt a bite. I never felt anything.
Catherine Ward, Global News.
A man in Yellowstone National Park discovered this weekend that bison are not to be trifled with. Thousands of bison live in the park and roam free. This bull near a campground charged a man who was taking pictures of it along with his grandson. It chased them and tossed the man about 8 feet into the air. He was rushed to hospital. He has multiple broken bones. The attack occurred during the bison's mating season, when bulls can become aggressive. A Quebec judge has found former fashion mogul Peter Nygard guilty of sexual assault and forcible confinement. The verdict is linked to an assault at Nygard's Montreal penthouse in the late 90s. Nygard accepted a plea deal and did not present any evidence in his defense. A nightclub becomes a death trap. Coming up, the investigation into what started this devastating fire. A wildfire is ripping through a forest near Paris. A major highway has been closed, high-speed trains disrupted, and about 800 people have been forced from their homes. Authorities say the blaze is now mostly contained. 2 people have been arrested. They're suspected of starting the fire. There are other fires burning in Western Europe as well, as the region bakes under another heat wave. European governments are now reporting more than 10,000 excess deaths during an earlier heat wave last month. Investigators in Thailand are trying to determine what caused a deadly fire at a popular nightclub on Sunday and whether negligence contributed to it. At least 28 people were killed, dozens more were injured. Survivors say the flames spread quickly through the crowded bar, and as Mike Armstrong reports, many victims may have been overcome by toxic smoke. A warning, some of the images in the story are disturbing.
If you weren't near the front door when the fire started, one survivor says, you likely didn't make it out, although people died trying. Body cam images of first responders show firefighters having to step around and over bodies in the back of the bar. Most of the victims were found in the bathroom, trying to find safety. This Justice Ministry spokesperson says most of the bodies weren't burned. People died of smoke inhalation, meaning identifying the victims shouldn't be difficult. This is video of a band performing just before the fire broke out. Witnesses say the first flames were spotted near the stage. An early theory is that it could have been caused by an electrical short in an air conditioner. This woman says acoustic foam on the ceiling caught fire. The flames and smoke spread quickly, but then came what authorities call gas ignition. Fumes from the burning foam weren't just toxic, it eventually built up and ignited. This man worked at the bar. He grabbed a fire extinguisher but couldn't get close. There was too much smoke and heat. He's now working to recover his brother's body, also an employee, to take it home to Laos. The Thai Prime Minister visited the site Monday. One of the things he was struck by was the lack of signs for exits. Among those in intensive care is the owner of the bar. Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
Ahead, the investigation into the murder of a former British MP is taken over by counter-terrorism police. After weeks of speculation about his health, U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell has put out a statement saying he was admitted to hospital in mid-June after a fall and says he's recovering at a rehabilitation center. The 84-year-old included this proof-of-life photo of him holding a newspaper alongside his wife. McConnell says he didn't break any bones or suffer a concussion and didn't have a heart attack or a stroke, but that he was briefly unconscious and had been dealing with a mild case of pneumonia. The Kentucky Republican says he stayed quiet to avoid sharing what he calls the vulnerability that comes with growing older. He had previously announced he'll retire in January, but says he still has unfinished business and does intend to return to the Senate floor. In the UK, there's an ominous new development in the investigation into the murder of a former member of Parliament. Anne Widdecombe was a prominent Conservative minister and later became active with the Reform UK party. The 78-year-old was found dead in her home last week. Police initially said there was nothing to indicate it was politically motivated. Now, as Redmond Shannon reports, new information has come to light.
The investigation into the death of Anne Widdecombe has taken a new turn almost daily. Initially, there was no suggestion of murder until Friday. Police arrested a man locally on suspicion of killing the former Conservative government minister. They later released him. On Saturday, another man was arrested 400 kilometres away.
A 28-year-old white British man was arrested at an address in Rotherham.
His race mentioned to stem online speculation about who killed Widdecombe and why.
At this stage, there is nothing to suggest that it was politically motivated.
But on Monday, British counter-terrorism police took over the investigation after saying new information came to light, igniting anger toward police from Widdecombe's colleagues in the far-right Reform UK party.
Even if they haven't been, they now look as if they're trying to manipulate the public's view.
Britain's Home Secretary offered Reform UK party leader Nigel Farage a meeting with security officials.
I recognise the particular concern that the Reform Party will feel today, and of course Nigel Farage, the party's leader.
This would be the third murder of a British political figure in 10 years. Labour MP Joe Cox was killed just before the 2016 Brexit referendum, and Tory MP David Amess was killed 5 years ago, after which Widdecombe urged that politicians should remain accessible.
I don't think we should use this as a reason for distancing.
On the day of her murder, Reform spokesperson Widdecombe had been due to appear on TV, as Farage faced criticism for taking a £5 million undeclared gift, money he previously claimed he needed for security. Redmond Shannon, Global News.
This is science's chance to be daring. What are you doing? Standing around bitching.
Next, remembering Sam Neill, how the New Zealand actor left his mark on the screen and beyond. He may have reached his biggest audience fleeing dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, but that role only scratches the surface of actor Sam Neill's varied and captivating performances. Neill has died at the age of 78. He was in cult horror hits like Event Horizon and heartbreaking dramas like The Piano. And as Eric Sorensen explains, he's being remembered not just for his films, but for his infectious enthusiasm beyond Hollywood.
In his most famous scene, Sam Neill said nothing, just removed his sunglasses when he saw a brachiosaurus come to life in Jurassic Park.
They're moving in herds. They do move in herds.
Sam Neill was a familiar figure on screen, not so much a leading man as a believable everyman.
The family now, we all make sacrifices, and so will you.
So what do we do now?
We run.
His characters imbued with humanity and humor.
No, we don't need to run.
Huh? Oh yeah, this is fast walk.
Born Nigel Neill in Northern Ireland and raised in New Zealand, he called himself Sam, a more likable name, he thought. From early movies in Australia to portraying iconic characters like the corrupt inspector in BBC's Peaky Blinders.
My job to decapitate each one, and by God, I will do it.
Active in humanitarian causes, Neill marched to back gay rights and offered support after the mass shooting at a mosque in Christchurch.
This seems completely impossible in our little country.
In recent years, he battled a rare blood cancer.
Come on, Chucks.
But was as popular as ever on social media, from his vineyard with animals named for famous friends.
And now, who are these?
Oh, well, that's Helena Bonham Carter.
He said it was an insurance policy for them.
Because, you know, if you name a chicken,
Yeah.
you know, Meryl Streep, I mean, in all fairness, you can't eat Meryl Streep.
Still, he told Australian Broadcasting he was moved by how sharing life with his animals touched so many people.
But I feel sort of responsibility now just to make people feel a little less bleak in a dark, dark world.
In a statement, his family said Neill was cancer-free, that he passed with the dignity that characterized his whole life. Sam Neill was 78.
And that is Global National for this Monday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is Sunlit Bay on Lake Nipissing, Ontario. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.